Hello, Canyon Lake. This is Bill Van Vliet, your POA board president. I would like to thank all of the members who attended the special meeting on Tuesday, June 9th. This was only the fourth special board meeting that's been called in the last 6 years, and we felt it was important to address community concerns quickly following last week's June 2nd board meeting. Now, over the past several weeks, our community has engaged in a passionate and at times emotional discussion regarding proposed revisions to rules governing certain activities in common areas. We want to address those concerns directly, explain how we arrived at this point, share the board's decision, and discuss how we move together forward as a community. After a careful review and consideration of the feedback received from property owners, the board of directors has decided to withdraw the proposed rule revisions and continue operating under the current rules. This decision was not made lightly. The proposed revisions were presented on June 2nd as a 28-day reading, which is specifically designed to provide the membership with an opportunity to review proposed changes and provide input before any final action is taken. Following that meeting, the board carefully evaluated the comments, concerns, and recommendations, and alternative viewpoints expressed by members of the community. Many residents raised legitimate concerns regarding the wording of the proposed revisions and the potential for unintended consequences. Others offered constructive suggestions for addressing the underlying issues without creating unnecessary restrictions. After considering all perspectives, the board concluded that the best course of action is to withdraw the proposals and continue relying on existing rules and enforcement mechanisms.
How did we get here? To understand the decision, it is important to understand why these proposals were considered in the first place. Over a period of several months, board members and staff received numerous letters, emails, phone calls, text messages, and personal complaints regarding behavior occurring in specific locations within our common areas, particularly near the golf cart parking area and portions of the lodge parking lot. The concerns raised were not isolated incidents. Complaints included blocked access to facilities, excessive drinking, smoking marijuana, littering, public urination, catcalling, verbal harassment, and other conduct that residents believed was interfering with their ability to safely and comfortably enjoy community facilities. In several cases, evidence was submitted to substantiate those concerns. As elected representatives of the community, we have a responsibility to investigate concerns brought forward by members. That responsibility extends to all members of the community, not just those who attend meetings, post on social media, or speak the loudest, but also to the many residents who quietly share their concerns through emails, phone calls, and conversations with board members and staff. In response, the board asked staff to review existing rules and propose potential revisions for consideration. The purpose of the proposed rules was never to prevent neighbors from gathering, enjoying a sunset, socializing with friends, or taking advantage of the amenities that make Canyon Lake such a special place to live. The intent was to address complaints involving prolonged gatherings in parking lots and vehicle staging areas where behavior was creating disturbances, blocking access, or negatively impacting nearby residents and other members attempting to use those facilities. Likewise, the proposed signage was intended to increase awareness of existing rules, much as we have done in other situations. Many members are unaware of all POA rules, and signs can provide notice that supports consistent enforcement. We have used similar approaches in addressing issues where signage helped in educating members regarding our rules. However, we will not be placing signs in these areas.
One of the most important aspects of this process was the feedback we received from members. Many residents submitted thoughtful, well-written letters identifying specific concerns with the proposed language while offering practical recommendations for improvement. Those communications were constructive, respectful, and extremely helpful to the board. We sincerely appreciate the time and effort those members invested in helping us better understand the community's concerns. It is important to be clear about one additional point. The board's decision was not driven by the loudest voices, the most aggressive comments, or the personal attacks that occurred throughout this process. Intimidation, insults, and attempts to silence differing viewpoints are neither persuasive or productive and have no place in constructive community dialogue. What influenced this board were the many residents who took the time to engage respectfully, thoughtfully, and substantially. They identified concerns we had not fully considered. They pointed out potential unintended consequences and offered practical alternatives that better balance the interests of the community. That feedback mattered. Unfortunately, not all of the discourse followed that example. In the days leading up to and following the June 2nd meeting, a significant amount of misinformation circulated on social media. Assertions were made regarding outcomes that were never intended by the proposed rules. Those claims understandably created anxiety and frustration among residents. As emotions escalated, demands, threats, and personal attacks were directed towards individuals, including board members. Such behavior is unacceptable and has no place in our community. Similarly, portions of the June 2nd meeting became disruptive. Members shouted over one another, interrupted speakers, and created an atmosphere that some attendees later described as intimidating. Several residents shared that they chose not to speak because they feared being shouted down or ridiculed for expressing a different opinion. That is not the standard of conduct we should expect from ourselves as neighbors and community members. Respectful disagreement is healthy, intimidation is not. At the same time, one of the most valuable comments we received came from a member who approached the board after the meeting. He represented a group that regularly gathers in one of the areas that had generated complaints. He acknowledged that some inappropriate behavior had occurred, expressed concern about the impact it was having on others, and noted that many participants were unaware of how their actions were being perceived by the broader community. He asked the board to consider allowing the community an opportunity to address these concerns through self-awareness and self-regulation rather than implementing additional restrictions. That perspective resonated with many of us.
There's been much discussion about the proposed rules, but there is one important point that should not be overlooked. The process worked exactly as it was designed to work. The purpose of a 28-day reading is not to announce a final decision. It is to invite community input before a decision is made. The board presented a proposal, the membership responded. Concerns were identified, alternative viewpoints were expressed. Recommendations were made, and the board listened. As a result, the proposed rules were reevaluated and ultimately withdrawn. This outcome should not be viewed as a victory for one group or a defeat for another. Rather, it reflects a governing process that functioned exactly as intended. The board considered concerns that were brought forward by residents, evaluated potential solutions, received extensive community feedback, and ultimately concluded that enforcement of existing rules, coupled with greater community awareness and self-policing, was a better path forward at this time. This is not a weakness, it is responsive governance, functioning as intended. The board's decision is now final. The proposed rule changes have been withdrawn. Existing rules remain in effect and will continue to be enforced. At the same time, awareness has been raised regarding behaviors that are affecting fellow residents. We are hopeful that the community will take ownership of these concerns and exercise greater consideration for neighbors and other members using our facilities. The board will continue to monitor conditions, respond to complaints, and address specific violations when they occur. We will rely on existing rules and enforcement tools rather than broad new restrictions. We are also hopeful that those who gather regularly in these areas will take an active role in helping address the concerns that were raised. The opportunity to self-police and demonstrate consideration for fellow residents is, in many ways, the alternative the community asked the board to pursue. We believe that opportunities should be given a chance to succeed.
So where do we go from here? This also provides a moment for reflection. Over the past several weeks, this issue has created division within our community. Friendships have been strained, assumptions were made, motives were questioned. It is time for us to move forward. We all want the same thing: a safe, welcoming, enjoyable community where residents can gather with friends, enjoy our amenities, and feel respected by their neighbors. As we move forward, I ask everyone to give one another the benefit of the doubt. Seek to understand. Listen before reacting. Ask questions. Recognize that reasonable people can have different perspectives while still sharing a common goal. At the end of the day, we are not opposing sides. We are neighbors. Thank you for your engagement. Thank you for your feedback. And thank you for your commitment to Canyon Lake.